everyone, it's Alyce, and today I'm talking about some contemporary authors I haven't read yet. So whenever it gets to summer, everybody always seems to come out in force with their contemporary book recommendations. I'm one of those people who enjoys reading contemporary in the summer, but I just never get around to doing it. So I'll read one or two, and then the weather will start getting colder again, and I'll think, I really wish I'd read more contemporaries this summer. But then I don't really read them in the winter, so then I just wait until the next summer and just never read any of them. So I thought today I would gather together 6 YA contemporary authors and 6 adult contemporary authors that I haven't read yet, but I am intending to read someday, in the hopes that one of you will have read and loved at least one of these authors, and you can let me know which one I should pick up first, so I can try and squeeze some summery contemporary reads in before the weather gets too cold again. So without further ado, let's go. The first author I've got to talk to you about today is Morgan Madsen. So Morgan Madsen is the author of Amy and Roger's Epic Detour, The Unexpected Everything, Since You've Been Gone. She has a new book out from this year called Take Me Home Tonight, I think. But all of her covers are so gorgeous and all of her stories sound like they're going to be so cute, and I've just never picked up any of them. I found a proof of The Unexpected Everything in a charity shop, so I bought that because it had a cute dog on the cover and I thought I'd read it, and I didn't. I've had Since You've Been Gone on my Kindle since literally the month I bought my Kindle because it was a daily deal, and I've never read it. I also have Second Chance Summer as well on my shelf. Haven't picked that up. I don't know if what's putting me off is that these are quite large. So for contemporary novels, normally they're like under 300 pages, but these are over 500. I'm not sure if that's what's putting me off, because I like short, quick contemporaries, and putting that much time and effort into contemporary just makes my whole body go like, no. But I'd like to read them eventually, because people really do seem to love Morgan Madsen, and she is one of the like original YA contemporary authors. Like, she's like a classic at this point, so hopefully I will pick her up at some point. The next author I have to talk to you about today is Kasie West. I've heard some mixed things about Kasie West's books. This is the only one of hers that I have. I don't have any on my Kindle, I just have this from an Owl Crate box, and this was one of my first Owl Crate box books, and I've never read it. But it's super short, and it looks like it's going to be really cute. I've just heard that they're all a bit too sugary, sweet and cliched. That might be wrong, but I have heard some people who have mentioned Kasie West, especially on BookTube this year, say that these books have not aged well. They're pretty bland. So that's also putting me off, because if I'd heard people now be like, oh, this might have come out 5 years ago, but it's still a really, really decent contemporary read, I'd probably would have picked it up already, but I don't know. But again, just like Morgan Madsen, Kasie West has lots of beautiful book covers, and they just make my heart happy. So I hope that I'll love this, and then I can justify buying some more, because I don't think she's ever been published in the UK. So these aren't the kind of books that you find in charity shops over here. They're not ever on the Kindle Daily Deal, and I think it would cost quite a little bit to get them. So I want to know I like her writing before I make that commitment. The next author I'd like to talk to you about today is Casey McQuiston. So Casey McQuiston is the author of One Last Stop and Red, White and Royal Blue. And everybody's read Red, White and Royal Blue, and everybody loves it, if they're American. The only UK booktubers I've seen that have read this book have been like, yeah, it's pretty poo. I think it's probably because it's about like the son of the president falling in love with the Prince of England, and it works from the American side of things, but it doesn't work for the UK side. That might be wrong. If you are a UK booktuber who has read and talked about this book, please link the videos down below. If you're a UK reader who has read this and loved it, please let me know. But it seems to be that all of my friends from the UK who've read this hate it, and all of the rave reviews that I've seen are from America, which is interesting. So I'm probably going to pick One Last Stop up if I can get hold of a copy. Again, don't think it's been published in the UK yet. But I have actually reserved Red, White and Royal Blue on my library app, so I will be reading this one soon. Hopefully I won't hate it. The next author I'd like to talk about is a bit of a strange one because it's Tahhira Mafi. So Tahhira Mafi is the author of the Shatter Me series, which is like a dystopian YA about a girl who can kill people with her touch, I think. Haven't read any of those. But Tahhira Mafi recently has released 2 contemporary novels, A Very Great Expanse of Sea and An Emotion of Great Delight, I think. I'll get Sean to put the covers on the screen so you'll know what I'm talking about. But these are both YA contemporaries. So even though she traditionally writes dystopians, and her dystopians are her more popular series, these are 2 YA contemporaries that have got very, very good reviews recently. I believe they're both about American Muslims and dealing with things like racism and war. I might be wrong, but they sound like they're going to be very impactful reads. It sounds like it's going to be kind of similar to Internment by Samira Ahmed, and I didn't like Internment, but I liked the idea of it, so I'd like to read more books like that. So hopefully these will work better for me than Internment did. But considering Tahhira Mafi's written 2 contemporary books, written like 10 YA books, and I've never read any of them, she definitely deserves a mention on this list. I'd also like to reference Francesca Zappia, who is the author of Alyce and Her Monsters and Made You Up. So these have such gorgeous covers. So you can see the cover of Made You Up in the back there. It's like a girl with an umbrella and it's all watercolours and it's beautiful. I got this again in an owl crate many years ago. I think it was like 2017. I'll see if I can find out. 2017, and I still haven't picked it up, and it's now 2021, nearly the end of 2021. But this is about a girl who writes an online web comic, and the biggest fanfiction writer of her fandom ends up moving to her school, so she knows who he is, but he doesn't know that she's the creator of his favourite online comic. So it sounds like it's going to be a little bit like Radio Silence by Alyce and I loved that book, so I don't know why I haven't picked this one up yet, especially because it has illustrations throughout, so it's going to be a super duper quick read as well. But Francesca Zappia has had a lot of applause for how she handles mental health. And I think I always like contemporaries that have a bit of a more serious twist to them. So Hollyborn in the UK, she writes a lot of YA contemporaries that have kind of darker topics tackled, and I love those. Same with Kat Clark. So Francesca Zappia sounds like she could be a new favourite author for me. I don't know why I haven't picked this up yet. And the last of the YA authors I'd like to reference today is Robin Benway. So Robin Benway is the author of Emmy and Oliver and Far From the Tree. I've heard amazing things about Far From the Tree because I think it's about a group of siblings who are adopted, or they all get adopted to different places, so they lose touch, or they are like a found family thing. I'm not completely clear on it, but I've heard nothing but good reviews of this one. And I've heard really good things about Emmy and Oliver as well. But the reason I haven't read any Robin Benway yet is because I keep thinking she's Robin Schneider. So Robin Schneider is the author of Shattered Heads, Broken Hearts. And I hated it. I hated that book so much. It made me so angry. But because they're both authors called Robin who write YA contemporaries, and their books always seem to get published really close together, like within a couple of months of each other. So I keep thinking Robin Benway is Robin Schneider, and I know I don't want to read any more Robin Schneider books. So Robin Benway has been tarred with the same brush. I'm hoping that one day my brain realises that this is a problem and just actually picks up a Robin Benway book, because it's not her fault she shares the same name as an author that I don't enjoy. So that's a silly reason that I haven't read any of hers yet, but definitely heard amazing things about Far From the Tree. And now I'll talk about the 6 adult contemporary authors that I haven't read yet. So I'm not sure if these would actually count as like adult contemporary or adult romance. I'm putting them in the adult contemporary category because I haven't read a lot of adult contemporary or adult romance, so I'm not quite sure on the differences in those genres. So if you can enlighten me and let me know whether these are actually contemporary authors or whether I'm completely wrong, please do. I'd like to learn. I'd like to read more of these genres, especially because Aoife from Pretty Purple Polka Dots, she reads a lot of books from this genre, and every time she talks about them they sound amazing, so I'm just kicking myself for not picking them up earlier, but it's just not something that I ever lean towards. Hopefully that will change. But the first author I'd like to mention is Taylor Jenkins Reid. So she is the author of Malibu Rising, Daisy Jones and the Six, and the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo? 7. So she writes... I kind of thought Daisy Jones and the Six was like historical, but when I was looking like popular contemporary authors, she was one of the first that popped up. But it's like she's written... It's a memoir from, like, an old film star who is sharing the story of her and these 7 husbands. And it's, like, the romance stories that she never told before. Daisy Jones and the Six is the story of, like, a band. I don't know anything about Malibu Rising, but it's the new one that's just come out. But everybody seems to love Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I've never picked up any of her books. I think I might have Daisy Jones and the Six on my Kindle. But honestly, everybody seems to think she is the bee's knees. So I need to get on board with that and hurry up and read her. I also think it's about time I picked up a book by Helen Huang. So Helen Huang is the author of The Kiss Quotient and The Bride Test. And there's a new one coming out that's red, and I can't remember what it's called. But these are, like, I think it's companion novels in the same universe. It might be, like, direct continuations. But it's an autistic scientist who is doing investigations into love, from what I can gather. That sounds like that's going to be something I will really enjoy, because I loved The Rosie Project, and that is an autistic scientist who is on, like, the hunt for his, like, ideal match. And I love that story. So I think The Kiss Quotient might be a real big hit with me. I just haven't had a chance to pick up a copy yet. Another author I really want to read sooner rather than later is Talia Hibbert. So Talia Hibbert is the author of the Brown Sisters series. So this is Get a Life, Chloe Brown, Act Your Age, Eve Brown, and something about Danny Brown. I can't remember off the top of my head. As I said, I haven't read them. I will remember them when I've read them. But I have actually ordered the Illumicrate hardcover special editions of these. So when these get here, I'm going to be prioritising reading them, because I should have picked them up already. Heard nothing but amazing things about the Brown Sisters series as they've been released. The 3rd book came out earlier this year. So I've been hearing about these for a couple of years now, and people have said nothing but good things. It's the kind of series I need to pick up. I'd also like to reference Emily Henry. So this is actually a YA book of Emily Henry's that I'm holding, which I also haven't read. So she still belongs on this list. But Emily Henry is the author of Beach Read and People We Meet on Vacation. And she wrote, I don't know if this is her only young adult book, but she'd written at least one young adult book before she started writing adult contemporaries. But Beach Read exploded last summer because it was the story of a romance author and I think a gothic horror author, and they're both at, like, these beach huts trying to do writing, but they both got writer's block, so they switch, and, like, the horror author writes the romance and the romance author writes the horror. I'm probably getting that really wrong, but I think they end up falling in love, and it sounds really, really cute. I haven't heard amazing things about Emily Henry's young adult novels, but I've heard nothing but good things about Beach Read, and a lot of people love People We Meet on Vacation as well. That's just come out. I've got both on my Kindle. Why haven't I picked either of them up yet? Why haven't I picked this up yet? Because this was, again, one of the first OwlCrate books that I actually bought, and I just apparently haven't read any of my OwlCrate books. So hopefully, once I've read Beach Read, I will love it, and I will then read The Love That Split the World as well. I love that. Would be good. I'd also like to give a shout out to Colleen Hoover, because who in this world hasn't read a Colleen Hoover book? I feel like I'm the only person. Everybody seems to have read at least one book by Colleen Hoover. I know she's quite controversial. I can't remember why she's controversial. I just remember people saying she was controversial. Some of her books have some, like, darker topics in them about, like, abuse and sexual assault and recovery and survival from things like that, and moving forward with new relationships after experiencing those bad things in your past. And I think that sounds very empowering. It sounds very inspirational. I have a couple of her books on my Kindle. I think I have a copy of Maybe Someday upstairs, but I might have unhauled it because I have a copy on my Kindle. But yeah, she sounds like the kind of author I'd really, really like, and they sound like the kind of stories I'd really get on with. So I don't know why it's been like 7 years since I first heard about her. Yeah, at least 7 years since I first heard about her, and I just haven't ever read any of her books. Like, It Ends With Us sounds great, Layla sounds great, November 9th sounds great, Maybe Someday sounds good. Maybe someday I will pick up one of them. And the last author I'd like to talk about today is Beth OLeary, who is the author of The Flatshare and The Road Trip. Heard great things about The Flatshare, heard meh things about The Flatshare, but I've only heard hype about The Road Trip. So I think even if you didn't really like The the flat share, people seem to be willing to give her another chance. It's not like it was that bad that they'll never read her again. I literally know nothing about the flat share. I've got a feeling they like just share. It's not actually like a flat share, it's more of like a room share, but like she works in the day and he works at night, so they like never see each other, but then something happens and they actually meet and they fall in love. I'm probably making that up, but that's what I gather from it. I found this in a free book box in my parents' village, so I will be picking it up soon because I have hauled it. I just don't know why I haven't picked it up yet when this seems like the perfect time of the year to read that kind of story. And those are 12 contemporary authors that I probably should have read by now. If one of your favourite authors has made it onto this list, please leave a comment down below. Let me know which book I should read of theirs and why you love them, because that will probably convince me to pick it up. If you like this video, please give it a like, and if you'd like to subscribe, I would be super duper grateful. We're posting videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, so we will see you again soon with another one. Bye! The first author I've got